Hey everyone, I'm Jen, and I own a veterinary technician relief business.
And I'm Michelle. I own a veterinary technician mobile house call business.
And you are
And you are
listening
listening
to
to
Endless
Endless
Journeys,
Journeys,
the Vet
the
Tech
Vet Tech
Odyssey
Odyssey
podcast.
podcast.
In this podcast, we will be discussing and meeting with credentialed technicians who have created their own path with business ownership within the veterinary space.
Our goal is to help inspire burnt out vet techs before they leave the industry altogether through our stories and the stories of other vet tech business owners. Woo, happy Monday, everybody. It is time to rise and shine as you are heading off to work, and hopefully me and Jen can help you out today. How you doing, Jen?
Happy Monday. I'm doing okay. I'm not feeling my absolute best today, but I'm here and, you know, still rolling.
Yes. Yes. I give you credit for not feeling good. I feel like a lot of us feel this as we don't feel good and we're still rolling into work, even though we might have a
Mhm.
headache, a stomach ache, backache, whatever, and we still make it to work. So thank you, Jen. So
Yep.
for this episode, if Jen's a little bit more quieter and I'm the mouth from the south, that's why she's just not feeling good. And hopefully we'll
Yeah.
get you feeling better soon, my dear.
Yeah, I already
Um,
told Michelle, I was like, I think you're gonna have to carry this one a little bit. And she's like, all right, I got you, I got you. So I'm
yes.
I'm I'm here, I'm gonna do my best. But yeah, I'm not feeling too great today.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I think something is going around though. I actually had a lot of clients last week that weren't feeling too good themselves. I actually went into one house and when I got there, it was a brand new client. They told me their kid was sick after they'd been into the house.
Oh no.
And yeah, as I was leaving, the neighbor kids were outside playing. And the moms were like, "Oh no, we can't play. The kids are sick." I'm like, "Why didn't you let me know?" But I've
Right?
been fine, but I was still like,
Yeah, but at least you can take precautions if you know.
right, I would have brought an extra hand sanitizer, but no, it's
Yeah.
funny. So something a little funny going around here in Michigan. So hopefully you feel better soon. Today's episode, I'm excited. This is the person who's showing up, Kelly Cornyn. I feel like most of us have probably heard of her on podcasts before. I am a fan of a lot of the work that she does, so we'll get her on here in a little bit.
Hmm.
But for the rundown of our week, we are recording this right before National Vet Tech Week.
Hmm.
So I myself, my work is gearing up. Jen, I don't know if I told you, but I'm working Saturday. And because of the way my schedule is, I rescheduled like 4 days worth of clients on Saturday. That way I could start having next week off on Sunday, which starts National Vet Tech Week. Dude, I got like 26 appointments scheduled in one day.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I'm low-key kinda hoping some clients cancel because
Cancel. Yeah.
yeah, as much as I hate to say it, like, I kinda got
Hmm.
like, "Oh, I hope some do," and it's Michigan, it's October, a lot of us like to go, like, apple picking, it's a thing that we do here, pumpkin patches. Oh, knowing that, I got a feeling that some of my clients are gonna choose that over me coming out, so I got my fingers crossed other than that, because it's gonna be like a 14, 15-hour day if that doesn't happen,
Oh
so
my
I'm kind of
gosh. Yeah, especially on a
yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I don't work Saturdays. So, like, my husband's in bed. He's usually making breakfast. The dogs are like looking at me, and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, I'll be back in 12 hours.
Right.
But I got the whole week off. I just got to keep telling myself that. On
Right.
Saturday, I got the whole week off. Sunday, I already got a massage booked because I know this old body is going to be sore. Like, I already know it. I already see it. So, Sunday morning, I'm just going to go right in for massage.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. How has your work week been? How's work been for you this week? Anything fun, new, exciting?
Yeah, nothing really is popping out to me this week, honestly. We we were pretty much dead on Wednesday. There wasn't really nothing going on. I think I even left an hour early that day because it was like really dragging and I was exhausted. And I was like, and I'm one of those people where I'm like, if I'm here and I'm doing work, like that's great. But if there's nothing going on and there's just too many people there And it was even one of those where I was like, I just don't even think I really need to be here today. But I always still like, I don't necessarily like to be the one that leaves early because I'm obviously there to help and I'm there for relief. So if I do leave early on situations like that, I do it like an hour before or like 45 minutes before so that I can absolutely make sure that they absolutely don't need me, especially in an emergency, right? Because you never know
Oh,
like
yeah.
when is gonna hit the fan. So that's
Mhm.
the thing that bugs me sometimes when people like want to leave 3 or 4 hours early. They're like, "Well, there's nothing going on," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's emergency. I mean, that could change at any minute, you know."
Mhm.
So if I'm gonna do it, I tend not to at least until I have an hour left on my shift.
There you
Because even
go.
then, if I there's only an hour and things do happen, I mean, an hour's not that long of a time anyway. I'm gonna leave on time anyway. So yeah, that happened Wednesday and like Tuesday. I can't even really think of anything that really. I think we were kind of steady, but nothing. Oh, actually, no. Tuesday was crazy. Now I think about it, Tuesday was absolutely crazy.
Really?
It was. Yeah, Tuesday was crazy. um,
Were we on a full moon that week? I swear to God, there was like a full moon earlier that week. Was it around that 3 o'clock time frame that you told me about where all this shit happens at
no,
3?
because I
Ah,
no, because I only worked till 2 a.m. It was right when I got there. It was crazy. We only had one doctor on the floor, and we had just really crazy stuff going on. We had a lot of stats that came in. I think we had one situation where we had three stats come in at the same time. One was basically a DOA, but they still wanted CPR, so we performed CPR. And then we had two other, I think one was a blocked cat and the other one was a respiratory cat. They all came in all at the same time. So yeah, and then I had to, and we had a lot of blocked cats that came in just within a couple of hours. So we were
oh.
unblocking a cat. His potassium, we found out his potassium was like 8.5 at one point. So we had to give a reversal to that cat so that it would wake up because I think we gave it midazolam as a pre-med. And then, you give them, we usually do when their potassium is that high, an albuterol inhalant to bring down that potassium as fast as you possibly can. So yeah, it was. Now that I remember, Tuesday was freaking crazy.
2 days that week, Tuesday and Wednesday?
Yeah, I normally do.
Nice.
I only
Oh.
work Tuesdays and Wednesdays lately just because we do the recording on Mondays, and those are usually an all day thing. And then now I am a part of, which I don't think I've officially announced this on the
Let's
podcast
make your
yet.
official announcement because it's by the time this airs, it's going to be probably in December. So let's
Yeah.
make Jen's amazing announcement.
Uh,
Jen?
yeah, so I'm officially a founding visionary for Vibe Vet, which stands for the Veterinary Industry Board of Empowerment is what it's called. And it was founded by Ashley Selke, who is the former NABDA president. She invited me to come on to be a founding visionary. So I am a founding visionary of District 11, which is basically the Pacific Northwest. So I've also been working on that, and that's on Thursdays. And there's Zoom meetings on Thursdays, and basically what we're doing right now is she's building the association right now, and she's working on all the bylaws, and she's working on building what the foundation is going to be all about, and how much membership fees are going to cost, and basically what the biggest focus of the association is going to be about. And so that's what we are doing right now as the founding visionaries, is we're just building the foundation of the association. And then that'll be, I think, only about 4 to 6 weeks that I'll be doing that, and then we'll be voting on the first board members, and then that'll be it. So it's it's not a permanent position, it's very temporary, but that is also something that I've been working on. So I'm very limited on the actual days that I can be on the floor just because I'm focusing on all this other stuff. And then I like to have my weekends off as much as possible to enjoy a little bit of free time. So I've been really busy.
No, I like that perfect schedule. Yeah. Like whenever, and this is for anybody who ever wants to be a guest, like whenever I reach out to onboard them, I always try to get them to do Mondays. And I always say, like, if Mondays don't work for you, let us know. But as we've been progressing into this and falling into our spots, I feel like Mondays work out wonderful. It's usually almost always 1 o'clock your time, 4 o'clock my time. And I think that's great because then it gives you like the whole week to go ahead and edit, do whatever you need to do, and then you work, you do the vibe, and I like it, yeah, and then I go to work. I go right back to work as well, Tuesday through Friday, and it sets up, like, I don't know, I feel like we're falling into a good routine, and we always
Right.
do a pregame, and this time, we didn't even pregame for very long, like, we just had a
Right.
few things to, clean house, and then we were done, so I think we're slowly but surely
Yeah.
falling into this nice little pattern.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, my work days are getting pretty limited. When I travel, I'm still doing 3 days. I'm traveling next week, so that's gonna be a um 3-day work week. But yeah, I think I'm gonna be slowing down here, especially with the holidays coming up and I got holiday pay going, and so with my holiday pay, I really am not gonna have to do much work for the next couple of months if I don't want to. And it might get to that point. So we'll see. It's gonna just depend on how I feel. I've been really tired lately and it's a lot. But I'm not complaining. It's just,
No.
it's a lot.
We text our listening. I once you hit, like, 32, like, that energy just
Yeah.
it's just not there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Enjoy it while you
sure.
have it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, working like 3 or 4 12-hour shifts in a row. I'm not there anymore, and I'm really glad that I don't have to be there and I can focus on other things, but it's still nice to be on the floor every now and then. But yeah, that was basically my week. What about you,
Nice.
Michelle?
So, do you remember last time we talked, I was like, "God, it was a horrible week," like, not like a horrible week as in horrible week, I just had, like, a lot of sad client stuff going on. I had pets pass away. I was just sad that week. Well, this week was actually quite the opposite. I had one major down, but then a lot of, like, wonderful things happening, especially Thursday. Thursday was wild for me. Unfortunately, like, the worst part of the week was when I woke up Thursday morning. One of my clients who were scheduled for that day passed away. The human did,
Oh.
unexpectedly. And that broke my heart. I've been seeing her. She was like the first client I ever sent a sympathy card to, believe it or not.
Oh.
And that's how far back she goes. And she got a new dog. And we went like maybe a year without seeing each other. And then I've been seeing her for about 2 or 3 years now. And she has been battling cancer. And I thought it was on the up. I thought everything was looking good. The last time I saw her, she was talking about how she wanted to style her hair, and we, like, talked about the same type of music. I've really, really liked her a lot, and I worked with her son a lot, and her son, I think he's maybe 23 now, but when I first met him, he was going off to his freshman year of college, so I didn't see him for, like, a long time, and then after she got her new dog, I've been seeing him for, like, 2 years, again, something like that, and now he just graduated college. So, like, I feel like I've watched this kid kinda grow up a little bit,
Mhm.
and he texted me, I think at, like, midnight, he was like, "Hey, I need to cancel, my mom passed away," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Mom passed away?" And it was sad because I was not expecting it. I thought she was doing good. I
Yeah.
know when I was there last month, she was in the bedroom, she didn't come out, but I didn't think, like, she was so I don't know the details. Of course, I don't ask, I don't pry. I just told him, "I'm here if you need anything at all. Like, just let me know." I lost my dad a few years ago, and he's been taking care of his mom for at least a couple years now, and my heart breaks for him. The pet's name is Ina. I won't give out the owner's names, but just in case, he listens, 'cause I do think they were listeners. My heart is just with him right now, and hopefully I'll continue seeing him. But he's young; he may move elsewhere. I don't know, but that was, yeah, not a message I was expecting to get,
Aw.
and that's too young. He's too young to lose his mom, man. He's only 23. He's just a kiddo.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so that that was yeah, so that was what I woke up to Thursday.
Aw.
And then, like, for my really good clients, that's, like, one of my favorite routes. I've told you, like, that's my Clarkson route. Like, I love my Clarkson week. I love my Clarkson people. I
Yeah.
had, like, 4 clients, like, all text me, like, "Hey, I gotta take a kid to a school play." I think something was going on in the school district because everybody had these last-minute accommodation requests, and they're all good clients, so I had no problem doing it. But,
Mhm.
dude, I was holding on by the seat of my ass. Now, when I say you have to be, like, really flexible and adaptable to do this, I absolutely mean it because that was just wild. I was zooming and just, like, crossing the country, or not crossing, crossing the county, like, I could not keep a flow, and I told all my clients, like, "Hold on, everybody's got time issues today. I'll be there soon, I promise," and somehow, by the grace of God, I made it to everybody within their window time frame.
Oh,
Even
wow.
though I was totally not gas efficient, I bypassed every client at least 2 times to make sure I was getting to the other client.
Oh, man.
And then at the end of the night was the best part. One of my really good clients was getting married, and she wanted me to go up to the docks. They were getting married on the lake. She wanted me to go up to the docks to pick up her dogs
Oh.
and take them home so that way her and her wife could go out for a party afterwards. And it was a very casual, intimate setting. So they
Mhm.
did it on Thursday night, just her and her wife.
Aw.
And yeah, and I've been seeing her for like 4 years as well too. So it was like this crazy like day of like waking up with the sadness of a client passing away to the
Right.
craziness of zooming around on a crazy route to then when I walked up to the dock, she dropped the leash because it's a very well behaved dog. There's no other dogs around, so I know there's leash laws, but hell, she got married. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, she dropped the leash and Izzy came flying to me with her little
Oh.
bandana on. And then seeing my client like all decked out in white, I like had like a little bit of a happy tear, but I'm trying not to be like happy tear because, like I'm trying to like sound not professional, but they're like, oh, you Rebecca, like you look gorgeous. So,
Aw.
yeah, so that was like Thursday was just kind of one of those odd days. And then I found out on Friday, one of my other clients, her son got engaged. So I'm really, really happy for Oakley and Flipper. I worked with their son as well, but I mainly worked with the mom. So she's like, hey, my kid just got engaged. And then on Friday, one of my good clients, Suku's mom, told me she was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's like all this good stuff, you know, like continuing the chapter of life with my clients as they go through all these life events is like
Right.
such an amazing thing for me at least to watch is like
Yeah.
I was with Zuku's mom before she had the first kid.
Oh.
And when I was there, her first kid, oh God, why am I calling it the first kid? I know her name. It's on the top, Evelyn. I can't think of it right now. I know her kid's name, but I can tell you she was born on St. Patrick's Day. Um, for the first time I seen her walk up to me. Like she was like trotting along through the kitchen and then she showed me her sonogram. She showed me the picture of the baby in
The
the belly.
ultrasound picture?
Ultrasound. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. She showed me the ultrasound picture. So it was just cool, like going through all those life moments and seeing all these wonderful things happen. So that was my week. And yeah, it was just other than the one client passing away, like there was so much good stuff going on. So that just made my day.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, lots going on.
Yeah. And that's again one of the best parts I think about doing this job is the fact that you get to watch your clients' lives unfold and all the
Right.
chapters. And that's me is like the most heartwarming part.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And we did have a good review. I don't know if you saw it, Jen, but we got a Facebook review.
I did see it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Thank you, Hannah. She
Yeah.
wrote, very informative. As someone who currently works in vet med, this podcast has been inspiring and wonderful to listen to. So thank you.
Yeah.
If you guys have any reviews, we love hearing them.
Mhm.
I'm always stalking like the social media pages, so whenever I see them, it really does like it just
It
you
means a
know
lot.
yeah, it does. It lets us know
Yeah.
we're doing a good job.
Right.
So yep,
Exactly. Yep.
yes. So we got our question of the week. This one was actually emailed to me through my TikTok email. Her name is Jen, and I actually just got it about a half hour before me and Jen hopped on. So bear with me as I kind of think my way through the question, but I didn't want her to wait any longer. So I actually swapped out the question of the week at the last minute. But Jen had emailed me and she wrote, I am reaching out to you for help regarding how to schedule your clients. I am an RVT and launching my own mobile business within a week. Eek, so exciting. That's what she said. But I'm having trouble figuring out how to organize a schedule. I've watched all of your TikTok videos and listened to your podcast. I know you schedule 2-hour time frames. How do you record which clients are booked on which days? How long do you typically allot for each appointment? I'm thinking 20 minutes at first to be safe until I get a better idea of how long things take me. Any advice is greatly appreciated. I'm so thankful I found your pages. They are all informative. Thanks to you, I feel rejuvenated and sure of my future where before I was looking at leaving vet med completely and feeling trapped in a clinic setting.
Wow.
Oh, I know. Yes. Thank you, Jen. That means the world to us. And we're glad that we're helping you not feel trapped because that's what we want to do is take the techs that feel trapped and help inspire them to find another journey, like
Hmm.
endless journeys. Yeah. All right. So within this, there's a couple questions. So how do I record which clients are booked on which days? I know there's actually a lot of other apps out there. I think there's like Weave, I see a lot of vet techs use. I think there's another app called Cuddles. I like good old fashioned Google Calendar. I can color code them. I actually color code them by area. So at a glance, I can say, oh, they're in the purple area. That's Clarkston. Oh, they're red, White Lake. Like, and my clients even know like what color area they're in. So I color code mine. I don't know if that helps, but that just helps with me. And I put them all on those 4-week or 8-week schedules I've told everybody about is I put them on to where their schedule will repeat every 4 weeks or every 8 weeks. That way they stay on a day that works for them. For example, if a client works from home on Tuesdays, I'm gonna put them on Tuesdays and I'll put that on repeat for every 4 or 8 weeks to make sure I constantly have that business coming in. If a client doesn't want to stick with it, I kick them out, which actually I'm in the process of doing that one right now. That's going to be interesting. The next part, how long do I typically allot for each appointment? Okay. And you did say you're thinking about doing 20 minutes at first. I think that's really good. I let mine overlap a little bit. For example, one person is 11 to 1 for arrival time. The next person is 11:30 to 1:30 for arrival time. The next person is going to be 12 to 2 for arrival time. That way I keep on increasing my arrival time. If I think I'm going to be either ahead of schedule or behind schedule, I let them know, hey, I'm running ahead of time or I'm running behind. Some clients, you're going to be in and out within 10 minutes. They're going to be like, let's get to business. I got shit to do. And you're going to be in and out. There are going to be some clients, they're going to have a lot of questions. They're going to have a lot of concerns. They're going to chit chat. Me, I have my clients, I don't book off a certain amount of time, but now that I've been doing this for so long, I know which clients take 5 minutes and I know which clients take 45 minutes. And so I've built out my routes to cater to that. And it took me, again, a few years to really get that hammered down. And now I finally feel like I'm at that sweet spot. I would, going back, if I could change anything, I would record how long these appointments are taking. So that way, as you get to know these clients, you are saying, okay, well, Miss Smith, she likes to chat. I know she's going to take about 45 minutes. Mr. Smith down the road, he takes like 5 minutes. That way you can kind of start getting your feel from there. But for now, stick with those 2-hour window time frames and overlap them. That's what I would do. Wonderful.
Yeah, and I mean, and think it's always nice to have like a starting point and like a foundation of how somebody else does something, and then you make it your own, because everybody's different on how they like to do their own schedules and their own organization and what apps they prefer and things like that. So it's always nice to have like a foundation of like, okay, how do you do this? And then, and then you can just make it your own.
Yeah. And
So,
I and you're right. I feel like some girls in the group, I feel like they give like 1 hour window time frames, and I feel that's pretty brave. I'm like, oh, I wish I could do 1 hour window time frames. And I do believe there are people out there who even say I'll be there at 3 or 4 on the dot. And I feel like that comes with a lot of like intense scheduling. Like you really have to be really reserved
hmm
and you have to constantly be aware of your time at all times if you're
yeah.
going to be giving like a half-hour window time frame or an exact time. I think it takes a lot of discipline for that as well. Yes.
Right, absolutely. So, yeah, and it'll take time. I mean, you're just starting out, so, you'll find your own rhythm
Yes.
and you'll find
Yeah.
what works for you.
Yeah. Everybody's a little bit different. So again, I just found the 2 hours was just perfect for me. Just write down how long each appointment takes, and once
Mhm.
you get your rhythm, once you start setting up permanent routes, you're
Mhm.
gonna start getting a smooth flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Good luck,
Yes.
Jen, on
Yes.
your brand new business. We'll be rooting for you on the sidelines.
Absolutely. And keep us updated on how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have
Yes.
any other questions or you meet any other obstacles, then Michelle's here to help you along with that.
You guys, well, I'm personally excited to announce our guest today. I have actually been a fan of Kelly for quite some time. I've heard her on a lot of other podcasts. I think some of the work that she is doing to help vet techs become more financial savvy in the industry and look at other ways of bringing in revenue is just so amazing. So, the one and only Kelly Cornyn today. So, Kelly has over 30 years' experience in vet med. She started as a volunteer, then worked her way up to a multi site manager with ownership interest. She now owns Vet Tech Life and Cronin Castle. So, everybody give a warm welcome to our guest today, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me, you guys.
We're super excited to have you on and to hear about your story and your journey. And then just we always have our icebreaker question to start of what breed of dogs do you own if you own dogs? And just tell us a little bit about your pets.
So, we have a Costa Rican cur, and I'm going to
Ooh.
tell you a tiny story, hoping that the person who helped us get him doesn't hear this. But we had this amazing trip to Costa Rica, found this amazing beach dog, wonderful beach dog. It was protecting our luggage. It was just the best beach dog ever. Lost it the day that we were going to have it, taken to the veterinary clinic, and they were going to ship it home for us and all this kind of good stuff. And so at the time, hospital manager who we love dearly went over to Costa Rica after us and did the same exact trip. And we found out after she was already there for several days that she was there to find us that dog.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Very amazing, right? Except for the fact that on picture number 555 of orange dogs on the ocean, I said, "Oh, that might be it." It is not the same dog, but we love this one very, very, very dearly, and
Oh,
he's
wow.
amazing. So, we ended up with the world's best dog. He's so great, but he's a Costa Rican beach dog or Costa Rican cur. And then we also have a ball python, and there is a household debate as to whether it's a he or a she. But for the moment, her name is Josephina Noodle.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay. Uh, I'm
And then
scared of snakes, but that's a cute name.
do you do live feedings with your
Oh.
pythons?
No, she's all about the frozen, and thank God for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I know because I know some people they do the live feedings and they say that they prefer that. And my best friend actually has snakes and she actually ended up with I think 2 rats as pets because her snake
Oh,
refused to
God.
eat them. So she's like, "Well, I guess I'll just keep these as pets." And so she
Now I have
ended up
pets
doing
forever.
yeah. But
No, she thankfully came, like, fully into the frozen feedings. So, life is good, and we're pretty happy with that.
yeah, it makes that a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah,
With the shells
absolutely.
over there like
Now, like, my feet are getting sweaty just thinking about it. I'm definitely like, I'm trying to actively not visualize. I'm
my
thinking of
husband is terrified of
fluffy
snakes
dogs right
as
now.
well. Like, he
Okay.
cannot handle snakes,
Me
but
neither.
Well, we have some random yard ornaments in some of our other places as well. So we like to think of them as pets too. We have a moose who constantly has 2 babies at her side who just ambles through our yard in Alaska, and we have some horses that make themselves at home in our yard in Alaska all the time. There's one particular herd that just spends all its time there, and then we have a one-eyed rooster named Willie, Willie the one-eyed rooster.
oh, that's
Uh,
cute.
yes, shout out to Goonies, right?
I love
Then we
that.
have a yard ornament green iguana that just lives on our deck and hangs out, endlessly waiting for people to feed him papaya. So
Oh, that's
lots of
cool. I love that.
lots of different species in our yards. Yes.
Oh, man.
Do you live in Alaska?
We have a vacation rental in Alaska,
Okay.
and we have a
That's
vacation
what I thought.
rental in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. It's a little off the record or on the record, but I think it's so cool that you do the vacation rentals for an extra side of like passive income. I actually have a long-term rental unit that I have as well for income. So when I see you posting about that, I think that is like if more techs could do that, I know it's hard to do on a technician's salary, but if there's a way they could somehow get that, like what you have or what I have, like it's such a nice way to bring in some extra money when you fall back on the hard times. So when I see you posting about that, I think that is very awesome.
Well, and let's talk about that for a half a second, if you don't mind maybe keeping
And
this
no,
on
of
the
course.
record, because I love
Yeah, of course.
I love talking about this, and I love the idea that some people think it's not possible, but the reality is that it is. I'm sitting currently in an efficiency that's attached to my house. I got this house on foreclosure. So I got this house for, I want to say 180 when I bought it. And it has 3 different living spaces. We used 2 different living spaces because my parents needed to retire here. But when you buy a house that is multi-family or multi-space, you can use some types of FHA and first time home buyer loans for houses with multiple spaces. And you can actually utilize in some of those loan processes the rental income as part of qualifying for it. And so, one of the things that I hear fairly often is, gosh, I can't afford to get into rentals because I've got a technician's salary, but it can actually even help you do better in terms of getting your own place to have a rental unit that is attached to your initial home buying purchase, right? And the other thing that I would say is that even thinking in terms of vacation rentals and second homes, we have purchased most of those houses either for a very low amount of money. Alaska, I bought for $40,000. Utah, I bought for $17,000. Vieques, Puerto Rico, I bought for $72,000, but I bought it on owner financing. So I did not have to qualify that for that loan. I pay a pretty small percentage. I pay a very small amount down for that house. I think I wanna say that I paid maybe $17,000 home down for that house, and so the rental income has been paying for that house. So when we're thinking about these things, I would love for people to think a little bit outside the box because, again, like that off-grid rental unit in Utah, we purchased it for $17,000. I purchased it all in cash, and, I did have to sell it because it was, just not gonna work for a rental. It had permitting issues and things like that, but I was able to make quite a bit on the resale even of that. And so when we're thinking about this, I would love for our very savvy technician and VA friends to really think in terms of how can I think outside the box about how to do this. Same thing with we have a 80-acre glamp ground that we're working on in Ladysmith, Wisconsin, and we purchased that land, 80 acres of it for, I wanna say $82,000. We
Wow.
purchased that on owner financing as well, so 0 down on a bunch of land that we're gonna be clearing some spaces, we've already cleared some trails, we're putting in a well and a septic, and that will be a bunch of bell tents and cabins and maybe not cabins, but vintage trailers, buses, that type of thing, and a couple of tree houses. So
Oh,
there are lots of ways to think outside the box and thinking outside the box, even for Ladysmith. We have a friend who does treehouse building, and he actually did a season of HGTV treehouse building show and runs a treehouse builder camp. And so part of that conversation was, hey, how can we get some treehouses built? Well, I'll just do a treehouse builder camp on your land, and then people will come, and that will pay for the building materials, and then you'll have treehouses. There's a million different ways for people to think outside the box and
Mhm.
do things a little bit differently to have that secondary income or that backup income or that really good way of retiring.
no, I agree. I with my long-term rental, that all that money goes into my retirement fund. It's
Absolutely.
actually getting reinvested, so I don't see that money. I put a little bit aside just in case something happens to the house. I have a savings to instantly get it fixed for my renters, and then the rest is right into retirement. That way, I'm not blowing it, which I could. I got a spending habit, so I make the responsible decision to pretend like it's not even there. That's my whole visual is out of sight, out of mind. And I have an accountant that takes care of everything for me and a financial planner that just like, nope, it's not there, Michelle. I'm like, you're right, it's not there. But it's nice. And I hope other vet techs look into doing stuff like that because it's on hard times, it's such a good thing to have. And it's passive income. You just
Mhm.
get the check.
And that's partially too, right? Like you probably have that set up into what's called a self or a solo 401k. And that means that you're actually able to take all of the income that you have coming from that and put it directly into a retirement vehicle. And you're not even seeing taxes on that, right? Because of the fact that you can actually shuttle that away to a self 401k. That can actually be up to, I don't know the actual limits, but I know that we drop thousands and thousands into our self 401ks in order to not pay any income tax on that. So there's a ton of ways that if you're self-employed by having rental income or by having a vacation rental business or something along those lines, that you can actually kind of double dip on that and really utilize that in ways that really are impactful for your overall savings percentages.
Yes. I don't know what we're doing, but my accountant and my financial planner, I think they're doing something along those lines with it. And I know money's in there growing, but yeah, I think you're right. I think they're doing some sort of double dip thing to where taxes are
Yeah,
something. They use big
it's
words, and I
amazing.
just say, "Okay." Yeah. 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 So, with all that being said, with everything I know you have a lot going on, which is it's so cool to see everything you've done. How do you do it? Like, what does your average week look like with scheduling, hobbies, times with friends, family? Like, how do you do that with the job, the rentals? How does that work for you?
Well, I have a little bit of a new full-time job. So I've been about 2.5 months in a role which is completely different than anything I've ever done before, a sales role for a virtual veterinary assistant company. So really had an opportunity to play out a lot of time in operations, and I just needed a break from operations and needed to stretch my legs a little bit. So having an awful lot of fun doing that, but it's a new vertical for this company. So it's been a lot of time on the road, a lot of work, a lot of conversations, but it's been great. And so a lot of what happens else times is, like you said, it's something that is a little bit more passive. So, for example, Cronin's castles and our vacation rentals, those, aside from times when I'm doing a lot of construction work, are pretty low key. They only take a couple hours a week. I have a ton of automations so that everything goes through really automated. I actually, I was just telling you a little earlier, but I just went in on a virtual veterinary or a virtual assistant, I should say, for myself out of my company with another consultant, and I'm pretty excited about that as well. And so everything that I'm trying to do on the outside is setting up things to work a little bit smarter, not harder. So things like I do run a CE cruise. We're getting ready to rock and roll that out in
Yes.
January. So much fun. If anybody wants to come right now for Vet Tech Week, we're actually having a big giveaway of 5 scholarships for that. So hop on over and make sure that you share and like all our posts and get some entries into that. But all of those things are very, very automated. So, for example, all of the posts that I put on social media for any of the businesses are all scheduled once a month and just scheduled to come out as days go on. Or for example, when we're talking about any kind of website updates and things like that, I do all those in batches. And for any of the website signups for our cruise and things like that, that's all very automated. And I use a really amazing travel agent to make sure that things are streamlined. So as much as possible, I try and do the whole Timothy Ferris 4-hour work week thing and just make sure that everything that I can do is automated or helped, and or I will now have a virtual assistant for some of these things as well, which I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, I bet that's gonna be super helpful.
Our virtual assistant is going to have an awful lot of fun because they get to stretch their legs a little bit. The other company that I'm sharing this person with is a dentistry consulting company. And so we'll get an opportunity to do some social media, some website updating, stretch their legs a little bit and doing some accounting and things like that for us. It'll be pretty fun. And honestly, just having someone who will pay my Puerto Rican tax without me ever having to look at another Puerto Rican website will make me so incredibly happy, I can't even tell you.
Oh, wow, yeah, just take off a lot of that stress.
Yeah, and it's honestly, I don't know, it's honestly one of those things where I think I have just enough ADD that I have to have someone really, like, start the process for things, I can get a ton of things done, and I can keep all of the balls in the air, but every once in a while, there's just one thing that I can't even start the process for.
Mhm.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, I get that. Mhm. I understand that.
Smarter, not harder all the way,
Absolutely.
ladies. That's what we're doing from here on out.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep, you gotta invest in those things. Sometimes that those things cost money, but, it also is what's worth your time, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, I think about that in terms of how I'm working with team right now is we have so many veterinary clinics that are spending so much of their technical time, right? Like their hard-working technical time on things like chewy orders, like just mind-numbing, soul-sucking things. And so here's an opportunity to really get some of those things off of our team's plates and really make everyone so much more efficient and so much more happy with their roles.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I mean, talking about that, do you want to talk about and share your journey from actually working in a clinic to why you started your own business?
Absolutely. I think part of why I started the business was because landlording, especially, having multiple houses, sometimes that happens to us very haphazardly, right? I think that there are times like what I went through when I left New Mexico where I just was not going to be able to sell my house very quickly. It was on a land lease, it was on Indian owned land, so it was on a land lease, and honestly, it was so incredibly easy to find a renter. And so that opened the door and that really showed me, hey, there are so many opportunities to get that tax benefit, get that added benefit of accumulation of wealth, in the actual home value, and have an opportunity to have someone else paying the mortgage and paying towards my overall lifeline goal, right? And so when I moved out of New Mexico and kept the house, started renting that, that was how I sort of fell into landlording. And in thinking about that, it was a really tough landlording situation because it was so far off the grid. And I thought, anything else that I do is just not going to be as hard as that. And so it really got me thinking in terms of if I can manage this house in New Mexico, very, very far off the grid, do a fairly decent job of it, where else could I have places and how do I want to design my life to really give me that freedom that I'm probably not going to have working in a practice or working with a veterinary clinic. And so the two things that I was really overall designing my life to have is lots of travel because that is a huge part of who I am and what I enjoy and all of that. And to have financial freedom or to be working towards financial freedom because I just very much feel like we work until we can't work anymore and then we can't do anything else either, right? And so
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think if we get a little bit more savvy about the fact that we actually have a superpower as veterinary team members, we have this superpower because we haven't had lifestyle inflation, right? None of us makes $1 million. And so when we're thinking about that, if we spend less, we also need less in order to retire.
Mm-hmm.
You need about 25 times your annual spend in order to have a perpetual amount of money if it's in the stock market. And the way that that's all calculated gets a little bit tricky with the 8% that we see in the normal stock market over 30 years, only pulling off 4% so that we never pull off a huge chunk and actually draw down our money. And so when we're thinking about that, because of the fact that I've never had lifestyle inflation and I still live off of $60,000 a year, I'm able to have a smaller bucket of money and still be able to live my life the way that I like it. And part
Mm-hmm.
of what has made that life so rich is the fact that I have a lot of things that encourage my lifestyle to be very rich without adding to my overall spend for my lifestyle. So things like I've been speaking at veterinary conventions and have done that for most of my career. And that allows me to travel and that allows me to accumulate time in hotels and things like that as well. And it gives me an opportunity to take my kiddo and my husband to incredible places on a veterinary conference dime, creating my own veterinary conference. Part of that whole conversation was back in 2015 saying to Moira and Casey, the two former owners of Vet Tech Life, hey, I would really love to do a veterinary cruise someday and you should totally have me speak. And that became a thing, right? It became a project that we all got really interested in. And then when they decided to retire, they thankfully trusted me with that. And so now we're on our seventh sailing and we get to go to placing amazing places like the Dominican Republic and the Bahamas. And next year we're looking at adding an Alaskan cruise to it. So just
Oh, that would be awesome.
incredible
Oh,
places. Yes, yes. And so it really is a matter of like, I don't care who you are or what you do. If you can dream it, you can make it happen. It's just a matter of how much you're willing to do for it. And I think that that was part of my whole thought process is back 10, 20 years ago, I just sat down and said, what do I want my life to look like? And what is my overall goal? And what are the things that I need to do to get there? And so that's really how I went from being in a veterinary clinic full time to having a few other things in the works, including some of the CE things. I briefly had a mural business. I briefly had an art business. I I've really enjoyed those entrepreneurial journeys because they've allowed me to reinvent myself every time that I get a little bit stagnant.
Right. Well, and I think like too, you have to think about like when we come up with these, sometimes every single person will come up with what they call a crazy idea.
Yes.
And they're like, "Oh, but that's crazy
Nope.
because then, and then you think, oh, well, it's a risk." And and then I'd have to maybe sometimes you have to change your lifestyle a little bit. I know I did when I first started my own relief business. I cut back on so many things. There were so many things that I was like, all right, I'm canceling my Netflix. I'm canceling I'm canceling all subscriptions. I'm canceling anything that I don't need.
Yes.
Anything that, and I mean, and that's hard for people to do, right? Because they think about all of the luxury things that we enjoy in life. And sometimes you might have to cut those off, but it doesn't mean that you have to cut them off permanently. It just means that you are taking a risk and maybe you have to sacrifice some things for a short period of time in order to get to that crazy idea that's going to flourish. And then now look at where you are. And I think the same for Michelle and for where I'm at. It's scary. I mean, we're
Oh,
not
yeah.
here saying that it's easy and that it's not scary and that it's not going to be a risk, because it is going to be a risk. But, you just took those steps to do it.
And I think it's all about designing the happiness, right? Like, what is going to make you more happy in life, right? Is
Eventually,
having
right?
that freedom
Mm-hmm.
the happiness,
Mhm.
or is having Outlander the happiest, right? And
Right.
maybe it is. So maybe that's not the thing that you cut out of your life, right? Maybe there is 20 different ways in which you can really look at everything. And I don't know, do you guys know who Marie Kondo is? The woman who like says to look at your stuff and say, "Do you bring me joy?"
Oh,
Does it bring it
yes.
joy? Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I do
Mhm.
that with
I
my
watched that.
finances, right? Like we
Oh, I
we
love
are
that.
very much that group of people in this household who says, "Is this going to bring me a minute worth of joy? Or is it going to bring me 14 days worth of joy? Or is it going to bring me that?" And if we really want to do something, we really have brainstorming sessions as to, hey, is there a way to do this without upsetting our finances, without giving up other things, right? And so, for
Mhm.
example, we wanted to go on a 14-day vacation to Greece, and we actually planned ahead of time and therefore used credit card miles. And what we do is open the right type of credit card miles. It's called travel hacking, in order to create a situation where we could go to Greece for 14 days on minimal amounts of money. I think we ended up spending like $700 for the whole thing. And so it's just an amazing way of thinking a little bit differently. And instead of seeing all of the reasons that something won't work, seeing all
Mhm.
of the ways that you can make it different so that it can work. I know a ton of people who do all of their vacations either through CE or speaking at CE events or house sitting in areas that they're going to be going to. Or, there's a lot of opportunities for those of us who are vet techs, veterinarians, VAs, who have that ability to just think a little bit smarter about how to make things really work on a budget.
Mhm. Yeah. And budgeting, and I think that me and Michelle have talked about this too, maybe about how important it is to have a financial planner. I think
Absolutely.
that because vet techs think that maybe because we don't make enough money, or that well, I can, or I'm working from paycheck to paycheck, like I can't even use a financial planner. And it's like absolutely you can. And if I mean, I know with my financial planner, I don't even when I first used him for budgeting, I didn't even pay him money. He just helped me with budgeting. And then eventually, once you start saving that money and you have money that you can invest, then you can start investing that into your future. But I think a lot of times that vet techs or even vet assistants, they think like, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me because I don't make enough money. And it's like, it absolutely does. utilize that.
Well, and I really like to bring this up, and it's not, I need everyone to know that it's not any kind of brag. It's just like, this is possible for you. I made my
Mhm.
first million before I ever stepped out of a technical role. Like, there are a lot of people who can say, hey, at this moment, you're a multi-site manager and you're making a lot more per year. And absolutely, you're not wrong. But I will say that, the vast majority of what I originally made was very, very much based on saving over time and the power of compounding,
Right.
not on making $1 million. I started out in vet med. My very first like real vet med job was $10.15 an hour, you know? And honestly, it's one of those things where, yeah, I absolutely had to gamify my life a little bit. I still owned a horse at that time. I was still paying more money than I care to in sweet feed and things like that. And
Mhm.
honestly, it was just a matter of, how could I work a little bit smarter? How could I make sure that the things that I was doing was somehow contributing to my life beyond that paycheck, whether it be
Right.
putting money into a 401k, whether it be putting a little bit aside for investing, whether it be thinking about that extra shift. And instead of thinking about that extra shift so that I can buy myself a really nice meal, really thinking about, hey, can that extra shift potentially go into savings and do something for me down the road?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's opportunities out there. It's a matter of, you can either look at the world as one whole big negative thing that's sitting against you, or you can look at the
Mhm.
world and say, what is something that I could do a little bit differently to make the world work for me?
Yep. Absolutely.
I love it. This is my favorite conversation, you guys.
Oh, I'm sure you say that to all the podcasters.
Nope, nope, nope.
No, and it's so yeah, and you're right. And I feel like a lot of us vet techs were like stuck. And I know I was before I started my own business. And I feel like my story was different from everybody's. I accidentally rolled into it. Like it was not a spreadsheet. It was like, oh, this is happening. Oh, I guess I'll stick with it. But like I look at my mindset when I was, as we say, trapped in a clinic, paycheck to paycheck. I can't. And then
Mhm.
when I started my own business, I'm like, I can, I think I can. Oh God, we're doing it. And then my mind started thinking of like, okay, let's start being smarter. My husband's an accountant, and he was the one who was like, you need to get a financial planner, make your money work for you
Yep.
and for us. Like, make it work to where we can retire because I didn't start saving for retirement until I started my own business. I couldn't afford to, but now I'm packing away like, I think it's like $700 a month into my retirement because I'm making my money work for me. Like what you said, you just got to think about the possibilities.
And
Yep.
one quick
And
note
not,
about the
yeah.
financial planner. Anyone who's listening to this, make sure that your financial planner is a fiduciary and really talk to
Yes.
them about a
Mhm.
fee-based financial planning, as opposed to like a single fee based, as opposed to a percentage based, because that can really sap some of your investments.
Oh, yeah.
So solid advice. Yes, that's solid. My husband asked my financial planner right away, "Are you fiduciary?" I'm like, "What does
Love it.
fiduciary mean?" Like right away, my husband like did that, and I'm like, "Oh, whatever." Yeah. So yeah,
It
fiduciary
effectively
for sure.
just means that they're not trying to sell you a single thing that they're interested in, but they're selling you on good financial planning, and that they're
Right.
required to by law. And
Yeah.
that's an amazing thing. The other thing that I like to tout an awful lot, because I think a lot of us come into veterinary medicine without having had any kind of financial background whatsoever. I was on a podcast about 1 million years ago, and honestly, having heard of their podcast changed my life entirely. But it's called Choose FI, or Choose Financial Independence. Not to talk about a podcast on a podcast, but
No,
That's okay.
I'll put it in our show notes and everything for the technicians.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I'm writing it
love
right
it.
down. That way they can listen to it. So choose. Can you
Choo-
repeat that one more time,
Choose
Kelly?
FI, as in Choose Financial Independence. And they do a really amazing job of doing all kinds of free financial education. So you can take their financial courses completely free. And to my knowledge, they don't sell anything on that website. So it's just an amazing way of just making sure that you're thinking a little bit smarter about
perfect.
how to make it all work for you.
Yeah. I think we need it. I think we need it more. I think that veterinarians, I think they get a lot of mentoring on things like this, and vet techs and vet assistants and support staff really don't.
Yeah.
And it's not right. We deserve it just as much as veterinarians do.
And not even so much deserve it, but when you think about the fact that we're working with so much less as veterinary
Right.
technicians or veterinary team members. There is that requirement, but much like remember when McDonald's was doing all that financial education for their team members, and it needs to come from a place where people can accept it and where it's a reality for them. So I think one of
Right.
the things that I really love to do is to just point people at 50 different resources and like pick the thing that makes the most sense for you.
Right.
There are financial gurus out there, and honestly, there's a ton of different ones, and if you're on Dave Ramsey step 1, step 2, step 3, or if you're, on Choosify on their financial education, I think anything that you do to make yourself just a little bit more savvy with money is something that's going to move you in the right direction.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Solid advice. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes for sure.
Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
important. It's
No, it
important.
is. Absolutely. And with all that, was there any one particular moment or like a breaking point that led you to start your own business? Was there like that aha moment where like, I got to do it?
Gosh, I think there was. I think one of the things that I came to was I'd done a ton of work for a practice and for a set of practices at that point, right? I'd grown that practice and they were coming into kind of a restructuring type of situation. And I was really at a point where they gave me a fair number of different roles that I could step into, and none of them seemed like the golden ticket, right? Like none of them seemed like an upward mobility. None of them seemed like the right path to take. And honestly, I realized at that point that I had to create a freedom outside of just doing the status quo, so that if I wanted to take 3 months off and really think about it, or wait for the next big break for me to come, or if I just needed that laxity of a little bit of time to think in between roles, I honestly needed to create something that would give me that cushion and that would allow me to continue on unscathed, shall we say, right? And so I did, in between these two roles, actually take a little bit of time. I took about a month in between my VP of Ops role and my new role with team. And there is something so incredibly empowering with actually watching your net worth still rising just because of the power of your investments, right? Like I'm not eating into it. I've got a fair bit coming from alternative investments, right? Like the houses are paying off. I'm getting paid for speaking. I have some classes for sale online. Like I have enough things going on that I'm still able to take that time and that it hasn't negatively impacted me. And I think that honestly, when you have a situation, either being sick or having something catastrophic happen, or just needing that 5 minutes of mental health, get yourself back in the space, that really gives you pause and really tells you, hey, make sure that you have options going forward. And that was really the big turning point for me, was really understanding that I had to have options in place just in case something got to be too much and I had to have a break.
Yeah. I think that we've all dealt with that a little bit. I know I have. I would say was the exact same reason. The biggest one was travel, because I wanted to travel more and I was taking a lot of vacation time, and it was
Yep.
getting to the point where they were literally like, I was almost told that I wasn't going to be able to go on my Greece trip that I had in advance told them I was going to go. And when they were like, well, I don't know, we're looking pretty short staffed. And I was like, I'm going to go. So either I'm putting in my 2 weeks today or you're giving me the time off.
Absolutely.
And that was literally around the time that I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to keep doing what I want to do if I'm working full time for a veterinary clinic. And and also my thoughts were like, what if, I want to become a mom? How's that going to work with a full-time job? Or if I'm not feeling good, or because I know that I'm also considered high risk. So it's like things like that. And I've had to consider going on FMLA before, and even that, like they'll let you do it, but they'll make you feel real bad for doing it at the same time. So all of those things, it's just it, and then you feel bad and you feel guilty, and you really can't truly take care of yourself
Yep.
when you want to do all those things, but you also feel like you're a part of the team and you're letting your team down. You almost can't play that game and still take care of yourself. So that was absolutely definitely one of the reasons why I decided to go all in and doing my own relief business and work when I want to work. And and make more money doing it, unfortunately.
You're not getting the consistency of pay. You're not getting the benefits. You're not getting a few of those
Right.
things. And so, I mean, to be fair, it probably is fair in certain senses, but it's one of those situations where not only are you getting paid a little bit more, you're able to contribute to the things that you actually want to, right? Like you can choose your benefits
Exactly.
based on the amount that you want to contribute to them, but also it gives you that freedom. And I think honestly,
Mhm.
when I'm talking about money, I think fairly often people get maybe stuck on the how much it is, or how much everyone makes and things like that. The reality
Mhm.
is that money is a vehicle to freedom, and it's maybe a vehicle to freedom to buying a really nice Prada purse. I don't know, like that's your freedom, right?
Mhm.
It's maybe a freedom of having experiences. Maybe it's a freedom of having that time, right? You can
Mhm.
buy time for yourself. Maybe it's the freedom to not clean your house, right? Like have someone actually clean your house. I
Mhm.
I think that it's one of those situations where everyone has to make their own decisions as to what that looks like for themselves. But Paula Pant, she's big in the financial circles. Her comment is you can afford anything. You just can't afford everything. Really?
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Y-
nice. Okay.
You have to prioritize
Hmm.
what's going to be most important to you, and at the end of the day, like you say, we do have to make sacrifices for the kind of life that we are living. And I think in the beginning we had to make really big sacrifices. Maybe not so much now, but you still have to take a risk, and you don't know where that risk is going to take you. And that's huge. But then at the end of the day, again, like you said, like you have to prioritize what's important to you, and we all have to figure that out for ourselves.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's ways to mitigate the risk, right? Like there are ways to either do small business grants. You can actually apply for those from your
Oh.
small business association in your hometown. They will work for you with consulting and things like that, completely
Mhm.
free. They'll help you do all of that. They'll help you apply for your business licenses. Like there are so many different things that are out there that we don't recognize as resources, and sometimes you just have to look for them, right?
Right.
And beyond that, there are opportunities, for example, utilizing one of the platforms to get started on some of your businesses, or utilizing low cost, no cost startups. I have a friend who actually did startup business camps to teach people how to do no cost, low cost startups. He now goes under the podcast of Renegade Entrepreneur. And honestly, it's so incredibly easy to gamify that part of your life as well, to keep it as non-scary as you can possibly make it, as safe as you possibly can make it, right? Like
Right.
making sure, like you said, that you go through and get rid of all the non-essentials so that you have that safety of not needing as much income. Even thinking about taking on a roommate for a small period of time, or thinking of renting a space in your house. There are a ton of different ways to
Mhm.
mitigate some of the fear in terms of taking that big leap or taking that big
Mhm.
step.
So
Yep.
I know that we kind of talked about, what your average week looks like, but how do you manage the business side of things, such as the scheduling, billing, and marketing? I know that you just got your VA, so
Right.
it sounds like that's going to be extremely helpful. What were you spending the majority of your time on that before?
So I do things in batch, and so I'm generally working my normal week. And what I'll say too is when I travel, I don't sleep, and so
Oh gosh.
sleepless nights tend to get a lot done, but a lot of it was automation. For example, all of the Airbnb send outs, whether it be a welcome email, whether it be resetting the door locks, whether it be a checkout email, and an email out to my cleaner to say, hey, by the way, I need you to clean on this day. All of those things were automated. So I really was
Okay.
looking for the best tech to make all of that kind of fit together. Same thing goes for all of the things associated with the cruise. So I have a set of 5 cruise templates, and I just edit those and send those out at various times. I have a website that has automated email, so that's attached to it. And then I just do my website updates based on, what the next cruise is going to be, that kind of thing. I have very, very automated for all of my speaking. So I have every single presentation that I've ever given now in a folder on Google, and I just update them every single time like a crazy person. for, 5, 6 hours beforehand. And I have a set of speaker notes for all of those. And I have an abstract list with every single one of those listed with all of their objectives and all of their last placements as to where I gave them, so that everything that I do is as one click as I possibly can make it. I have a ton of automated email responses. I have a ton of different templates that I use for posting online, whether it be on LinkedIn or Facebook. I have all of that combined so that I can post once a month for 4 or 5 hours and be done with the whole month of posting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I try and make everything as streamlined and me proof as possible.
Yeah, I think the automation thing, I need to look in that for myself. I have no automation, even like my confirmation messages to my clients. I send them all out personally every morning. And I know I need it because the one thing you cannot buy is time. I will not get that time back. So I'm actually looking into an automation system, an app to start doing some of those things for me,
Yeah.
because it is, you cannot ever get your time back. So everything that you're doing, you have time, you're allowing that, and you'll never get that time back.
Yeah. And I try to use time that would otherwise be normally wasted, right? Like if I'm vegging out in front of a TV, I'm also doing something, right? And I I make sure that I bucket my time. So if I'm out doing something fun, like walking around a fair with my daughter, that is her time. And I don't intrude on it with doing XYZ. But if I'm with someone driving somewhere, like when we drive
Okay.
for 5 hours up to check on our bus and our land up in North Wisconsin, our glamp ground, when I'm driving up there, I'm getting 5 hours of work done, right? I'm setting things up for the next week. I'm reaching out to different clients. I'm doing whatever I need to move the cruise forward. And everything that I do has bite-sized pieces so that I can do small bits of it over time. Because honestly, if I ever look at something big, for example, I really need to get 2 lawsuits started for a septic gone very, very bad in Alaska. And because of the fact that I haven't broken those out into small bite-sized pieces, it's just never gonna happen. I need my VA so bad. Anyways, but it's just a situation where if I can create a really repeatable thing, that's gonna be much, much better than anything that I can come up with otherwise.
It sounds like you got everything like almost like smooth sailing. It just sounds like, and you're just progressively making it better and better and better. So it's truly inspiring.
And that's honestly the way to think about it, right? Is to set big goals at the beginning of the year and then chunk them out so that you can constantly keep moving towards improvements. And sometimes you need to remodel things, right? For example, I have a really good platform for hosting my Airbnbs, but or my rentals, but it's definitely not cost effective. And so the way that I'm looking at that is how can I even outsource that more? So looking at a friend Jess as potentially a long-term, long distance property manager to actually manage those things out. Any way that I can multiply myself and make things smoother on the backside so that effectively you're making more money is a really phenomenal thing to think forward.
For my rental, I have a company that manages everything. They take a percentage of the income,
Mhm.
and she does everything. I don't worry about anything. She'll call me if something's wrong, and she's like, Michelle, I got 2 options for you. And that's all I have to do. And it's so
Yep.
nice not to have that, have to worry about going up there, have to worry about, the things like, like you said, like plumbing and stuff like that. She takes care of all that. So it's a good thing to have for that sort of thing.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I have self-managed, and I've have phenomenal caretakers in both locations, but really the day-to-day of messaging guests and things like that is all automated. So we'll see where I go with it, but it's definitely an idea in the back of my
Yes.
head.
Hey everyone, it's Jen from Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We wanted to let you know that our first episode turned out to be a bit longer than we expected. After receiving some valuable feedback, we decided it would be best to break it into 2 parts to make it more digestible and enjoyable for you guys. We're excited to share that both part 1 and part 2 are available today, so you can dive right into the full conversation at your own pace. We really appreciate your support, and we hope you enjoy both parts of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some valuable insights. If you did, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave us a review and let us know what you think. You can also connect with us on all social media platforms at Endless Journeys, the VetTech Odyssey podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a positive impact in the veterinary world. We need you guys. Have a great day.